is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put 2 dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied.
It's the one and only queen of receipts, the dropping gems in these YouTube streets. The lawyer Royce, nowhere to go. Tune in for the infamous morning show, giving the news that you need to know. So don't you dare miss the wake up call. Then in the evening, I got all for y'all. Get your dose of daily vitamins. You know the queen makes it make sense. So true. Sex game, my kick, the words, my baby. Can't even only be money saves. It's like an earthquake, don't calling you out. Creed of close to head, just get it from the back. Such an awesome play, easy, just a more for all.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so hold on, guys. We're having technical difficulties. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so my moderator was telling me that the live isn't showing up for some reason. So let me go back and see what's going on here. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see here. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Hold on, guys. I'm going to mute myself for just a second. Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
I don't know what is going on, but the stream is not able to be found for some reason. Okay, no, it's not on private. It's not on private. I don't know why it's not showing up, beloved. Let me look again. Let me see what's going on here. It's not on private at all. Oh, yes, it is. How the hell did that happen? Okay, I don't know how it got set to private. That's interesting. Okay, I don't know how it got set to private because I didn't put it on private, at least not intentionally. Okay, so now see if you can find it now, Des. Okay, now see if you can find it. I don't know what's going on. This is all crazy. I've been having technical difficulties. Okay, that's why I changed the hold on, let me see if it's showing up now. I still don't see it. Okay, now I see it. Okay. Okay, there it is. All right. So with that all being said, guys, okay, my mistake. Apparently I pressed the wrong thing or did something. Hold on, let me just fix this real quick. Okay, apparently I did something for it to not be public. Because I did change the live, okay? We were supposed to be talking about Jay-Z and the nefariousness with the satanic stuff or whatever, but it's storming here, and I was having problems with the internet connection because the lights flashed out, and so I decided not to talk about that in case there's any more interruptions. I didn't want to, okay, Desmond, you still can't find it? Okay, go and check now because I just saw it. Okay, Love Her said it's showing now. Okay, good. Okay, so with that all being said, let's give everybody a minute to get in here. Okay, so let's give everybody a minute to get in here. All right. Okay, thanks, TC Dan. Auntie Leah said, I'm happy. Okay. Love Her said, I thought they were messing with your channel. They probably were. I really think they were because I didn't put it on private. Okay. I didn't put it on private. Okay. I don't know how I could have accidentally done that. Okay. So anyway, with that all being said, listen. So as I was saying, we're not going to talk about Jay-Z and the satanic stuff right now. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So because for one, like I said, it's storming here and I don't want that live to be interrupted. Second of all, there's some more interesting things we need to talk about because Daniel Penny has been found not guilty. Okay. And people are protesting and all upset about it. And then also, we need to talk about Jay-Z filing a motion for the accuser to have to say who she is. He wants her to reveal herself or the case to be dismissed. So we're going to get into that because I have the legal docs. Okay, so let me see if I can find it on my phone right now. Okay, Desmond, I see it on here now. And apparently people are seeing it because more people are joining the live. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes. Let me see here. Yeah, it's showing up now, beloved. Okay. Reggie said, say it ain't so. Yes, it is so. Okay, so let's talk about it, honey, because Jay-Z needs to sit down somewhere. First of all, here's the thing. I don't think it was a good move for him to go in on Tony Buzbee and try to destroy his character because it would have been better for him to just say that he wasn't guilty, to plead his innocence. Oh, I didn't do it. I've never met this person. I don't know what she's talking about. We're going to see what happens when we go to court. I'm not going to pay any settlements. He should have been more on that tone, in my opinion. Okay. But the fact that he was so defensive and going in and trying to dig up dirt on the attorney and all of that just made it look a little sketchy as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't know if he's guilty or not. Okay, that remains to be seen. But I just find it all interesting. Okay, and so with that all being said, listen, I hope you all are not too disappointed because we will talk about that stuff tomorrow, the satanic stuff and all of that. But meanwhile, let's get into this dismissal. And also, I told you guys that Tony Buzbee exposed the fact that Jay-Z's the one who sued him, the high-profile person, and I showed you all the documents this morning. I went over a bit of it, but we're going to go more into it today. Okay, we're going to go more into it now, okay, because this will make it all make sense. Okay, so let me pull up this dismissal, and this was brief. It was just a couple of pages, but like I said, Jay-Z needs to sit down somewhere because here's why. He's saying that the victim needs to reveal herself and say who she is or dismiss the case. But the bottom line is, Jay-Z, you're a whole hypocrite because you did the same exact thing. He filed his case against Tony Buzbee using a pseudonym as well. Okay? He filed it as John Doe. So I just find it interesting that he thinks this woman needs to come out and have to say who she is or else. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Everyone, please hit that like button, please, to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Okay, here we go. Now, this is just 2 pages, like I said, and here's what it says. And this was filed today. So he filed this today. It says, please take notice that upon the accompanying memorandum of law and the exhibits attached thereto, and any other arguments or materials that the court may consider before this motion is taken under submission by the court, defendant Sean Carter will move this court before the Honorable Jessica G.L. Clark, 500 Pearl Street, New York, 10007, at the date and time to be determined by this court for an order pursuant to Rule 10A of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure requiring plaintiff to refile her complaint with her true name, or in the alternative, dismissing plaintiff's amended complaint pursuant to Rule 12B1 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Okay, and here's how you know that Tony Buzbee's not lying when he says that Jay-Z is the high-profile person who sued him using a whole pseudonym. Because here you have it signed by his attorneys. Respectfully submitted December the 9th of 2024, Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan LLP by Alex Spiro. Okay, so remember that name because that's the same name that I told you all this morning that was in the documents. Okay, so clearly it was Jay-Z, and he's sitting up here being a whole hypocrite, wanting this victim or alleged victim to come out and identify herself when he didn't even want to do the same when he filed paperwork. Okay, so yeah, I just find it all interesting. So now let's get into some more of the findings. Because Jay-Z, let me tell you something. He was very thorough in this, like I told you guys this morning. He was very thorough in this. Now, I want you all to pay attention how Tisa Chales copies everything I do. I want you all to pay attention because I told you all, and I'm going to keep calling her out. That's what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, Tisa Chales, now this whole thing with Jay-Z having sued this man with, the paperwork of Tony Buzbee being sued has been out there. Okay, because this was filed like at least a month or so ago. Now, all of a sudden this morning when I talk about it, now she goes and digs it up. I just want y'all to pay attention. Now, it's not the problem. But I just want y'all to pay attention to how she talks all that slick stuff about the queen and copies every little thing I do. Please pay attention, okay? And yes, I'm being petty as per usual. Okay, so now let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Durana said Tisa fails again, okay? She needs to sit down somewhere, honey. Just be yourself, honey. Stop trying to be me, okay? And so with that all being said, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go over some of this, not the entire thing, because, again, it's 230-something pages. Okay, so likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Listen, don't forget to hit the like button. It doesn't cost you a single thing. If you're in here enjoying the Queen's work and due diligence, it's the least you could do. Okay. Reggie says, I want Jay-Z investigated for Kathy White's deletion as well as Claudia Jordan's knowledge of events. Oh, I do too, beloved. Okay. I absolutely do too. And maybe it will come to that. Okay. So with that all being said, let's get into it. All right. Hold on. Auntie Leah said, Queen and Jag be on one accord for real. Oh, we do? Okay. All right. So everybody's saying you're right, Reggie. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Hit that like button. Okay. So now I read a couple of pages this morning. So we're going to pick up where we left off. Because Jay-Z went all in. Like I told you, he really did his homework apparently, or at least his attorneys did, because they got the channels that this guy, Tony Buzbee, was on and all of that, where the case was talked about and everything. They've been watching YouTube. Okay, please pay attention. So in the extortion demands, defendants further threatened to find an untold number of other victims to bring claims similar against plaintiff. But that because the suspicious allegations in the demands had been made, there would certainly be more. Now, defendants put a ticking clock on the extortion demands, threatening to take a different course if plaintiff did not commit to a confidential mediation to resolve this delicate and important matter by the deadline. And so, like I told you guys, Tony Buzbee, what he's doing, it's borderline extortion, okay? He's basically saying, okay, sit down and talk with me, or else, I can put your name out there, or we can come to a mediation agreement or whatever. And then he says it's not about money, but it is about money. Because if you're having a civil case against someone and you're accusing your clients, accusing them of something, if you want to sit down and have a mediation, the mediation is only about what they're going to be willing to give. Okay, rather than going to court. So it's absolutely about money. So when he said it wasn't about money, yeah, it absolutely was. Okay, so defendants' actions violate Rule 5-100A of the California Rules of Professional Conduct, prohibiting attorneys from threatening to present criminal, administrative, or disciplinary charges to obtain an advantage in a civil dispute. Plaintiff presently faces a gun to his head, either repeatedly pay an exorbitant sum of money to stop defendants from the wide publication of wildly false allegations of sexual assault that would subject plaintiff to opprobrium and irreparably harm, okay, of plaintiff's reputation, okay, as well as family, career, and livelihood, or face the threat of an untold number of civil suits and financial and personal ruin. Now, why is he saying that part? Well, because he knows that's what happened to Diddy. Okay, see, this is the real reason he filed this lawsuit. At the end of the day, he was trying to not only silence the accuser, but also to get Tony Buzbee to just let this whole thing go. He was talking real big and tough, because what he wasn't going to do is come out and just settle. Okay, he wasn't going to do that, because we all saw what happened when Diddy settled with Cassie within 24 hours, less than 24 hours. In fact, it opened up the floodgates, like I told you earlier this morning. Now, the theme of defendant's statements and correspondence is the immediate and extensive threat of exposure if plaintiff fails to make a sufficient offer of money. This is textbook extortion. Buzbee pretends to be speaking truth to power, but that is far from the truth. Defendants claim to be investigating the facts, but the reality is they're finding deep pockets and trying to smear all of them with the same brush. It is a cynical extortion scheme that is dressed up in vindicating victims of actual abuse. Here's the thing that's interesting to me. I want you all to pay attention, because not one time, okay, not one time has Jay-Z come out and denounced Diddy. He's talking about the victims, the real victims of abuse, he says. Okay? He said it in his statement, and he said it in this paperwork. But the interesting thing is, he has not come out at any time and denounced Diddy, called Diddy out, or spoke at the behest of the victims that are accusing Diddy. That's what he hasn't done. Now, I want you all to think about that, because he's going in so hard in the paint on Tony Buzbee, okay, and I can't say that I blame him to a degree, but The fact of the matter is, you're in this mess because Diddy is now where he is. And you've been dragged into Diddy's mess. So with that all being said, it would behoove him to have, gone in on Diddy, or at least said that he doesn't agree with it if the things are true. Okay. I would have at least said something along those lines. Said, listen, I hope these things aren't true. He will have his day in court, but I don't condone any of this if true. But he didn't do any of that. And Reggie said, isn't that suspicious? Well, of course it is. Absolutely it is. Okay. Okay. He has not done it, not once. All right. So defendants corrupting this righteous cause by trying to monetize the victimization of the women who suffered at the hands of one guy. Now, plaintiff John Doe is a celebrity and public figure who resides in Los Angeles, California. Plaintiff brings this action under the pseudonym John Doe to avoid the irreparable harm to reputation that he seeks to prevent through this action. Now, see, here's the thing. Like I told you guys, he wants to go under the pseudonym of John Doe, not to hurt his reputation, but he doesn't care to have the same for the accuser. Okay, that's hypocrisy at its finest. Plaintiff will disclose his identity to the court through a sealed in-camera filing, or as the court otherwise deems appropriate. Now, defendant, the Buzbee's law firm, is on information and belief, a professional corporation with its principal place of business in Houston, Texas. Defendant Anthony G. Buzbee is on information and belief, an attorney licensed to practice in the state of Texas and the state of New York, and is the owner of the Buzbee Law Firm. The Buzbee Law Firm and Anthony G. Buzbee may hereinafter be referred to collectively as Buzbee. Now, the court has personal jurisdiction over defendants in this action. The extortionate acts of defendants took place in California, where plaintiff resides and was located when he received the extortion demands. In addition, allegations in the extortion demands concern events that allegedly occurred in California. Now, venue is proper in the county of Los Angeles. The relevant activities of defendants take place in the county of Los Angeles, where plaintiff resides and was located when he received the extortion demands. In addition, allegations in the extortion demands concern events that allegedly occurred in a residence located in the county of Los Angeles. Now, on September the 16th of 2024, Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, okay, they list all of his aliases, was arrested and charged with racketeering, trafficking by force, and transportation for purpose of prostitution. Now, on September the 17th, 2024, the indictment, Combs' indictment, charging Combs was unsealed, revealing allegations that for decades, Combs threatened and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires. Now, the Combs indictment further alleges that Combs relied on the employees' resources and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he held and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, as trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Now, the Combs indictment does not mention any sexual misconducts by other celebrities or high-profile individuals. Still, Combs' arrest and indictment set off a media frenzy with coverage by all major news outlets regarding speculation of what other celebrities may have been involved in the parties described by the Combs indictment. Any association with Combs became toxic. Other members of the entertainment industry were quick to make public statements condemning Combs and distancing themselves from him. Well, I didn't hear Jay-Z do that. Did you all? I didn't hear Jay-Z at any point ever come out and say, he or Beyonce come out and denounce Combs and distance themselves. Well, they distance themselves, by keeping quiet, and not communicating with him, but they never came out and said anything against him. No public statements that I have heard. Now, trading off the immense media coverage that came from the Combs indictment on September the 27th of 2024, Buzbee posted on Instagram that the Buzbee law firm would be acting as lead counsel to pursue claims on behalf of more than 50 individuals who suffered sexual assault and abuse at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his cohorts. Buzbee ominously warned that many other individuals will be implicated. Now, Buzbee followed up with a press conference on September the 29th of 2024, announcing that he would be holding a press conference where information will be made available for the first time to the public regarding claims made by victims against Sean Diddy Combs and other alleged perpetrators where rape, assault, and sexual exploitation are alleged. The press release continued saying details provided at the conference will include information regarding other potential defendants. The press release also included the following quote attributed to defendant Buzbee, saying, "This is an important matter that we intend to aggressively pursue. We will leave no stone unturned to find all potentially liable parties, to include any individual or entity who participated in or benefited from this egregious behavior." On October the 1st of 2024, defendants held a press conference in which Buzbee warned about the consequences of refusing to settle with his clients out of court, with a banner showing the number to a hotline for new claimants. Buzbee made the following comments with the intent to send a clear message and a shakedown of high-profile individuals who had not yet been implicated in Combs' alleged crimes. Point A, he says, "We will find the silent accomplices." He's repeating what Buzbee says in this. Okay, "We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose the enablers who enable this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter. Who the evidence implicates." Okay, and then point B, he says, "We now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases. And you should know, to the extent the clients feel comfortable, we also intend to make these individuals available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI." And then point C, he says, "Now I know this. Many of you came here thinking or hoping or perhaps believing that I may start naming names. Well, that day will come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs." And there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are. Then D, he says, what we've been told are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when the particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here not just about the cowardly and complicit bystanders. That is those people we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are. I call them the facilitators of foul play, willing participants in foul conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These people who know who they are should just come forward now. I would imagine as we speak here, there are a myriad of people who are very nervous. You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. He sure did say all of that. We welcome the FBI or any authority who wants to come to us, and we're going to make that available to these victims because I think that's important. My suspicion is based on talking with these folks, is that the FBI is just not aware of these people. The FBI has talked to some of these folks, and I'm going to try to encourage the victims to, in fact, talk to the FBI because I think they have some very important things to say. So this is the last thing Jay-Z or any of these other celebrities wanted to hear, okay? This is the last thing they wanted to hear. And I'm sure many of them have already paid up. Notwithstanding the rhetoric, defendants initially or intentionally failed to identify at the press conference who these amorphous perpetrators might be, nor have they done so since. Now, the purpose of the press conference was clear: extract lucrative pre-filing settlements from these perpetrators, or else he would announce names. The next day, in an interview with Law and Crime News on October the 2nd of 2024, Buzbee made clear the scope of his scheme. Not his scheme, claiming that he would find and ferret out all of the people involved, facilitated, benefited from, profited from, and make sure that they are parties in these cases as we file them. Buzbee set the stage to bring claims against his victims, despite an absence of evidence through the use of intimidation, stating that I have no doubt that there are people right now who know that they were somehow involved in this, who are now scrubbing their social media, who are searching their memories, who are deleting their texts, probably deleting pictures, and trying to distance themselves from this. Well, that's not a lie. There were many people who started scrubbing their social media, like Pink, like Kim Kardashian, okay? And I don't know for a fact that it had anything to do with Diddy, but I found it all interesting at the time of it all. Okay, so he goes on to say, and we know who they are, or we will find out who they are. So this is not something that's going to happen overnight, but I think we're at the tip of the iceberg here. And to those who refuse to cooperate, Buzbee made the consequences crystal clear. What I'm hoping is, and I'm encouraging my clients to make themselves available to the federal authorities to get to tell their story. And I expect the indictment will grow. One day later, Buzbee told Stephen Smith in an interview that he intended to make sure I capture a wide net and capture everybody involved. And that's what I'm trying to do. Now, there's really nothing wrong with him saying any of this to me, because in fact, that's what he should be doing for his clients. Now, that would only be a problem to somebody who felt that they were guilty of something and that maybe something was going to come out and they were going to get entangled in this net that he's talking about catching people in. Okay, please pay attention. And part of the purpose of the press conference was to encourage people that witnessed some of these events to come forward, and that's happening now. That's what he said in the Stephen Smith interview. I expect that some of the people that were the closest to Sean Combs, who are with him at all times, will probably talk. I think the federal government is really good, as you know, at getting people who are not the targets to talk. I expect that that will happen. I expect the indictment and the charges in the indictment will grow. I expect other people will be implicated. So I think that, like I say, I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg here. This is what he said October 3rd, 2024, in a Hansen interview. I can tell it. I call it the facilitators. Obviously the people that participated in this are terrible, terrible actions and terrible conduct and should be prosecuted and put underneath the jail. But what really irks me are the people that saw this happening, that enjoyed themselves while it was happening, that fancied themselves as upstanding people and knew this was happening and continued to go to these parties knowing this was going to happen. Well, he's absolutely right. No lies detected, because there are absolutely people that went there and saw these things. And I've been telling you all from day one that specifically after the 13-year-old filed her lawsuit, and the one who was 13 at the time in 2000, basically saying that she gathered up her things and ran out of there, and there were still people there partying and having a good time, and nobody even dared to help her or even see if anything was wrong. So I told you all then, that had to be some of the people that claimed that they left early. Okay? So maybe they weren't doing anything pertaining to the freak-offs, assaulting anybody or anything, but if you saw these things happening and you did nothing, you're still guilty as far as I'm concerned. And whether they can be criminally charged or even civilly sued, people should know. Now, Buzbee presented himself as a crusader for truth and justice, but in reality, he was just using his public platform to enable him to extract settlements from high-profile individuals. Well, isn't that what most lawyers do? For example, on October the 7th of 2024, Buzbee told TMZ in an interview that he had sent demand letters out to a handful of individuals, many of which you've heard of before, and will continue to do that, and that they would aggressively go after anyone who did not settle out of court, punishing those who tried to defend their name and reputation rather than making a quick payout out of fear that their reputation would be tarnished. So, indeed, he went so far as to claim a lot of people allowed it to go on, said nothing, didn't intervene, maybe benefited from it, profited from it. All of these individuals and entities, in my view, have exposure here. He goes on to say, if you were attending one of these parties, if you will, and you attended before or you knew what was going to happen, in my view, you have a problem. Buzbee made good on his threat and sent plaintiff the extortion demands after his statement. So the same day, Buzbee also told Sean Atwood in an interview that his view is if there were people present that had been at these parties in the past who knew that this was being used and put it in people's drinks, or perhaps being put in oil that was rubbed, people rubbing it up on each other, and they allowed that to occur, participated in it, sat there and watched it, didn't intervene or kept it quiet. As far as I'm concerned, you're just complicit as the individual, just as complicit. Okay, so sorry, guys. I told you all that I had some technical difficulties because it's storming here. So please bear with me. Hopefully that won't happen again. Okay, so let's try to get back into it. I'm going to continue sharing my screen. Lights up, everyone. Please like and share. Sorry for the inconvenience. That's exactly why I didn't want to start my other broadcast. Okay, and so let's just try to keep it going, and hopefully I won't have that happen again before we end this broadcast. I'm going to make it quick. Okay, I'm going to make it quick. Okay, so now with that all being said, goes on to say, let me see where I was. I lost my place. Okay, so the same day, Buzbee also told Sean Atwood in an interview. I think I read that. Hold on. Hold on, beloveds. Okay, so let's start right here. So Buzbee also disclosed his strategy. He says, I will write a letter. And usually when I write a letter, write people a letter, I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I usually get people's attention when I write them a letter. So on October 14th of 2024, defendants began filing lawsuits on behalf of anonymous plaintiffs referred to as Jane Doe or John Doe, claiming to have been brutally assaulted by Combs and others. Defendants described other individuals alleged to be involved in vague terms with no identifying details and used language to make clear that the complaint could be amended to add any individual who refused to pay defendants as named as a defendant. Okay. So basically, Jay-Z saying this was blackmail, this was extortion. Now, defendant sent plaintiff multiple ostensibly confidential written demands. Basically, he says extortion demands in November of 2024, alleging a litany of vile sexual misconduct committed by plaintiff. The extortion demands falsely allege that plaintiff raped multiple two minors, male and female, who had been drugged at parties hosted by Combs. The extortion demands were the first time that plaintiff learned of these allegations, none of which has any basis in fact. Defendants threatened in the extortion demands to immediately file a public lawsuit against plaintiff, repeating the same fabricated allegations unless plaintiff agreed to resolve the matters through mediation or for money. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. Okay, your son says, why you think Jesus let the thief hold the bag? The bag, money is temptation. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, your son said tuna nose like Jay-Z S assault case. Not that you called her tuna nose. Okay, so with that all being said, basically, you know, Jay-Z is trying to say that this was all extortion, blackmail, and that he's not here for it. And now, as I told you guys, he wants the entire case dismissed unless the person who's accusing him comes out and says who she is, which is, as I told you, is hypocrisy because he filed as a John Doe himself. So who is he to talk? Okay, who is he to talk and demand that somebody come out and expose themselves? All right. So with that all being said, let's talk about the United Healthcare shooter because the person has been caught and they're in custody. Now I'm going to go to the news part. This came out some hours ago. So likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
Who apparently were searching the pond in Central Park for Joe Cardinale is a retired NYPD lieutenant. He joins us now. I guess the brilliance in the police work was getting these photos out, as the police commissioner and others said, nationwide, so that the public could spot this person, in this case, in a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
That's absolutely the case. They put out the photos as they got them. You heard Chief Kenny say that. And they kept other things close to the vest, which is the way they should run the investigation. And the outcome is an excellent one. I mean, the fact that he still had the weapon on him, he had all this material on him, you know, it just shows how arrogant he really is in this crime. You know, the fact that everybody thought he was a professional killer, not by any means. It's his arrogance and it's his the way he did, you know, committed the crime, and then what he did afterwards with the backpack and everything. It just kept showing everything. He threw everybody off. Everybody thought he may have tossed that weapon into the lake, but yet he has it on him. And the question is, why Altoona? Why going there? I'm sure that the police department and detectives knew that some of the buses that were leaving out of there, their destinations, and they put the description out to all the municipalities along that route. And why over there, and why keep this stuff with him with the manifesto? Was he planning something else? That'll be answered in the investigation coming out from this point on. They're going to go into his social media. They're going to see what the tie-in is exactly to Mr. Thompson, if there is one, because the question still begs to be asked, why was he there at that particular time at 6:45 and knew exactly where Mr. Thompson would be?
Yeah, how did he get that inside information? In terms of social media, his page on X appears to still be up and operating, though it looks like he has.
Let me say this. This is what I told you guys. Okay. At the end of the day, didn't they say that that wasn't the same person in the Starbucks picture as in the hostel picture? Didn't they say that that wasn't the same person? And in fact, looking at it, we said it doesn't look like the same person. So now they're showing the person who was all smiles. They're showing that person. That's real interesting. Laverne said the story is so mixed up. Okay, I find this all interesting because that doesn't look like the same person. The person in the Starbucks picture doesn't look like the same person that was in the hotel picture. And furthermore, didn't one of them say, somebody said the other day that they were not the same people? Because I remember I had already told you guys it didn't look like the same person. But let's continue because this is all interesting.
Hasn't posted anything on it for a while. You talk about the arrogance here of this suspect, Joe. The fact that he wrote what he did on the shell casings, that he knew police would find, the fact that if he wanted to get rid of the backpack, he could have put it in any one of 10,000 trash bins anywhere in New York City, and likely that nobody would have ever found it. But he left it in Central Park with Monopoly money.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a hard time, y'all. I'm about to cry. I'm having a hard time. Look at Keita, so sweet, saying, take your time. I'm sorry, guys. It's storming here. They just won't let me be great. Okay, so let's try to get back into it. Hopefully, we can finish this up. Okay, if it goes out again, you all just go ahead and leave, and I'm just going to have to pick up where I left off tomorrow, maybe. Okay, in the morning or something. Okay, so let's get back to it.
To put all this together with all the cameras, and there's so many more cameras that they'll look at. But they had an idea of which direction they were going to go with this, and they went with it, and they stayed on it 24/7. A lot of manpower went into this. It's a Herculean task for them to do what they did. But, this is what the NYPD does. This is what police departments do across the country. But nobody, and I'm not bragging for any other reason that they are the best. They're the best at what they do. And despite what anybody thinks of lags in investigations or anything, they don't care. They go straight across the board, and they do what they have to do to solve this crime and every other crime.
Okay, I'm going to tell you like this. I don't believe that's the person. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I don't think that's the person. At the end of the day, it looks like the person that they said wasn't the person, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not buying it. I just don't believe it. What do you guys think? Okay, what do you guys think? Do y'all think that's the person? Original Copper American Sun Energy said NYPD sucks. Yeah, I agree. I agree. They're one of the worst police departments, one of the most nefarious, especially when it pertains to brutalizing people who look like me. Now, that's just my opinion. Okay, that's just my opinion. So with that all being said, let's move on to the next story, honey, before I have another blackout. Okay, let's talk about the Neely family, because you know Daniel Penny was found not guilty, as I knew he would. I told you guys it was not a good sign when the jury was taking all this extra time to deliberate and they were deadlocked at one point, couldn't come to a decision. I said that's never a good sign. Okay, that's when you know they're looking at a not guilty verdict, because if you're guilty, it comes back real quick. Okay, so anyway, I just find it all interesting. So now let's go to the news report. And I'm sure that so many people who don't look like me are so thrilled and ecstatic that he was in fact found not guilty. He's absolutely guilty as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Here we go.
The jury has reached a unanimous verdict in the case of Daniel Penny. He's been found not guilty on the charge of criminally negligent homicide. Now, remember what was at stake here. The jury could not agree on manslaughter. They failed to agree twice. The judge gave them another bite at the apple on this lesser charge, negligent. They now say not guilty. What does this mean? Let's first go to reporter CB Cotton, who's outside the courthouse, to find out how this has played out. Now, I hear an immediate melee of protesters, CB.
Hi, Harris. That's right. Protesters are pretty upset. There's a large crowd of them out here next to me. You can hear them rattling the police barricades, saying no justice, no peace. And what they're yelling now follows a series of threats that they hurled earlier as the defense walked in with their client, Daniel Penny, telling the defense team that Daniel Penny can have no peace here in New York if he's found not guilty on this lesser charge, criminally negligent homicide. And from what I can hear right now, they're repeating those threats. They are very angry. Harris, I also want to mention there were a couple people here this morning to support Daniel Penny, but the anti-Penny crowd far outweighs them, and they seem pretty upset. We're seeing police officers come out here in droves to try to keep the two groups separated for now. But I'm looking at our notes from the courtroom, and it seems like this is the first time we've seen some real emotion from Daniel Penny. His attorneys told me this morning that this trial has understandably taken a toll on him. He's been spending time with family and friends to try to stay calm. And our courtroom reporter telling me for the first time she sees him visibly smile, now hearing that jurors have decided he is not guilty of criminally negligent homicide. Harris.
Okay, well, I'm absolutely not here for it. Okay, they said they lost their picture for a second, so I'm going to go back to it. I thought it was ended, but I just heard her say they lost the picture for a second. They must be having the same kind of issues I'm having.
We'll come back to you as the news warrants. That is huge. What CB Cotton was just reporting there, that emotion also that she talked about, color inside the courtroom, the first time perhaps that Daniel Penny has had any sort of noticeable reaction. And of course, when a jury finds you not guilty, that is very different than being divided and sending this case again potentially for a retrial. This is significant, not just for Daniel Penny, not just for subway riders who may have been on that jury who found a way through all of the legal wranglings, it would seem, by what we know as a soft on crime DA who does not hand out the adjudication evenly, we've seen from Alvin Bragg. So this is really important. I want to bring in now Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor, constitutional law attorney, and George Washington University law professor. Jonathan, before we get into what comes next in all of this, just your initial reaction. This was fairly quick.
It was quick, and it was not entirely expected because this is not obviously how District Attorney Bragg had planned this. The way the case was going was along the sort of design that Bragg had to force a compromise verdict. When the jury deadlocked over the more serious crime, the judge went ahead and allowed them to consider this lesser offense. That is basically what Bragg had hoped, that if he could not get a conviction on the more serious crime, which was unlikely, that they would come back and compromise and convict him on the lesser offense, which, by the way, still came with a potential penalty of 4 years. So I think that the most surprised person in that room may be Alvin Bragg, because you have a jury that apparently couldn't agree on the more serious offense, but then they came back and they said, but we do agree that he's not guilty of the lesser offense. So it's not exactly how this was supposed to play out in his view. And you keep in mind that this is a jury that received an Allen charge. And so that's where the court says, go back and try again. It's a favorite charge of prosecutors, because jurors often do then produce a compromise verdict, a conviction for the prosecutor.
Okay, so that didn't make any sense to me. That made no sense. The jurors, in my opinion, had to have been biased. Because here's the thing. If they couldn't come to a decision on the larger charge, on the more serious charge, you would think that on the lesser charge, they would be able to find him guilty of something, right? Come to a decision of guilty, but they said not guilty. Okay, so I just find this all very interesting. This is not justice. But let's go to what his family had to say. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. This is all just so nefarious as far as I'm concerned, and really sad.
Breaking news, Jordan Neely's family speaking outside court after a jury found Daniel Penny not guilty of criminally negligent homicide in Neely's death on the New York City subway. Let's listen.
Let us know that our lives have value. Jordan Neely was choked to death by someone who didn't care people was telling him to stop. Last week, the jury they couldn't decide on the top charge, but they come back this week and they give up on us. The family's hurt. I promised this family that we would get justice. We're still going to do that. We're going to move forward with our suit. The district attorney did a good job, but the jury in this case let us down. So now here's what we have. We have a call to action, because you have to do something with this anger and with this rage. Our call to action is to take care of each other. We can't rely on outside people. If we see someone asking for food, we have to take the responsibility to give it to them. If we see someone cold, to give them a coat. If we see someone going through something, to ask them if they're okay. That's how we help each other, because we can't rely on the system to do it for us.
I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now? I had enough of this. The system is rigged. Come on, people. Let's do something about this.
Let's do something about it. Too often, we have Eric Garner's mother here. There's too often this is happening, where we're left alone in this society. We got to stop that. We have to change how we impact each other. Jordan came on that subway car. The first thing he asked for was food, and he was killed. And the person who killed him was not held responsible. We cannot allow this to keep happening.
Okay. Oh. Look like the police are attacking protesters. Are they? Attacking protesters.
You hear that? They said the NYPD is attacking protesters. But that guy was just sitting on Fox News talking about the NYPD is the best. No, they're not. They're extremely racist as far as I'm concerned.
Good morning, everyone. Here we stand once again in front of this unjust system. I stood here 10 years ago because they did not give justice to my son with the chokehold. I fought hard to get the anti-chokehold bill passed, which did pass. But it shouldn't only be for police officers, it should be for civilians also. No one deserves to be choked to death. No. And you know, we're in that courtroom and people are cheering for the verdict. They made the loudest noise, the judge did nothing. But when his father spoke out, they put him out the courtroom.
I want
Is
y'all
that
to
justice?
No, it's not.
Or what?
I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there because the press conference is over 10 minutes long and I'm about to be out of here. But I want to address Brand Slayer TV. Said sounded like a menace to me, and I'm not saying he should have died, but he socked someone in the face before. That man was not innocent. Yes, he was innocent. Okay, if he socked someone in the face before, you're talking about something he was previously arrested for, beloved. That doesn't have anything to do with what happened on the subway that day. That day, he didn't sock anyone in the mouth. Okay, you may have socked someone in the mouth before at some time. I know I have. So if someone chokes the hell out of me till I'm dead, then is it good for someone to come back and say, well, she did sock somebody in the face so-and-so years ago? That has nothing to do with it. Okay, this is asinine to even say that. Now, it's just like when George Floyd was choked to death, or when Derek Chauvin put his knee in his neck, and people said, oh, well, he was on drugs. Okay, he was on drugs and he died from the fentanyl. No, he didn't. He died because a man's knee was on his neck for almost 10 minutes. The fact that he was on drugs didn't have anything to do with that. Just like you talking about him being arrested 40 times. I saw your other comment when you said he was arrested 40 times. So what? He had mental health issues. It is a known fact that in this country, we don't have adequate facilities to help people who suffer from mental health issues. Many of them roam the streets homeless because people don't want to be bothered with them. They have nowhere to go. Okay, so they may have some issues. And at sometimes, very often, they are arrested by the police. Okay? At the end of the day, that doesn't have anything to do with what happened on that subway. See, what you need to do is what many people can't do, and that is think logically. Use logic when you come to a conclusion, okay? Not your emotions, because this is an emotional response. Oh, he sounded like he was a menace. Oh, he did this, he did that. Well, Daniel Penny sounds like he's a damn menace to me. Daniel Penny sounds like he's a menace to me. He murdered someone and then sat in the police station during interrogation and smiled and laughed with the police. Where's the remorse? Where's the sorrow? Where's the grief? There was none. What kind of person takes another person's life and claims you didn't mean to, that you were trying to protect and defend other people and yourself included, but yet you have no empathy for the person you just killed? He's the menace. Okay, that's what that is. He's the menace as far as I'm concerned. That's right. Aqua Girl Rising said in that moment he was innocent. I mean, yes, absolutely. Let's not go dig it up because that's what people that don't look like us do. That's what they do. They'll come and say, oh, well, they did this. Well, they did this, so they should have followed a lawful command. They'll make all sorts of excuses for why someone lost their lives. Okay, but at the end of the day, this is absolutely what happens all the time. I mean, let's not forget Emmett Till. Let's not forget how the race riot in Tulsa, Oklahoma started. Okay, they get to take our people out and get away scot-free. But when a black officer shot that Australian white woman, whom he said put him in fear of his life, and he had a very good reason as to why. When we saw the body cam footage of what she did, he had every reason to fear for his life. But when he took hers, he got 12 years in prison. And you just heard what the lady said. One of his relatives said that in the courtroom, when everybody cheered, the judge said and did nothing. But when his father yelled out in grief, he was taken out of the court. Okay, so I'm sorry. What I'm not going to do is advocate for a system that is set to be against us. And when people say that we're playing the race card, it's not that we play the race card. It's that that's the only hand that they've ever dealt us. Okay, so please pay attention. Brand Slayer said it wasn't right. I'm just saying, where was the law when he should have been helped a long time ago? Well, Saying that sounds a whole lot better than talking about how he was in jail 40 times and how he socked somebody in the face. Because when you say things like that, you're making him the problem. And on that day, on that subway cart, he was not the problem. Okay, at least not to the extent that his life should have been taken, that he should have been choked to death. And think about it. The police have even been banned from performing chokeholds. But if they still do one on somebody who looks like me, they'll still get away with it. They'll still get away with it. That's like when the police came in Breonna Taylor's house and shot her to death and killed her. And they were at the wrong address. Jamarius Glover, her ex, was not even there. And in fact, had already been arrested. So they had no legit reason to be there, but none of them got consequences for that. But when two black officers went into the home of two white people who they had a no-knock warrant as well and scared the people, those people fired at them and the police fired and killed them. Those police officers went to prison. Okay, so that's how I look at everything. I look at everything from the scope of what goes on in this country as far as the history of this country and the present, what's going on right now. So, rest in peace to Jordan Neely and condolences to his family, friends, and loved one. His life mattered. And whether he was arrested 40 times, 100 times, at the end of the day, he was not making anyone he was not endangering anyone that day. He was just being a nuisance. He was being annoying. If I was on the subway cart that day and I heard him talking loudly and shouting and this and that, it probably would have gotten on my nerves. But I would not have felt that I was in imminent danger unless he came and approached me. Okay, so Jordan Neely should still be alive today, and Daniel Penny is a murderer. That's what he is. He is a murderer, point blank and serious. So with that all been said, listen, I love you all to life. At the end of the day, and it's always good. You don't have to agree with me. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion on here. Don't have to agree with the queen. I'm not going to get mad if anyone doesn't. But at the end of the day, Daniel Penny is a cold-blooded murderer, just like Claudette just said. That's what he is. He's a Marine. He knew that as long as he held that man there, that he could take his life. I think he did it on purpose. He didn't feel the breath leaving out of his body. He didn't feel him fading away. He didn't notice any of that. And by the fact that he already had him restrained, he could easily at any point while he had him down on the floor, removed his arms from around his throat and held his arms behind his back so that he couldn't touch anyone. That's what he could have done. He could have done that until the police showed up, but he didn't. He didn't do that. He did what he wanted to do. And what he wanted to do was murder. Okay, just like that white man years ago back in the 80s that I read about, who in fact murdered 5 black men on the subway and then said that they were trying to rob him. Okay, I'm sick and tired of the injustices here, and I'm sick and tired of cold-blooded killers being held as heroes when they murk somebody who looks like me. Because I guarantee you, if somebody who looks like me got on there and did the same to somebody who looks like Daniel Petty, it would not be the same scenario that we're listening to right now. Not guilty would not be the verdict. Okay, they would absolutely be punished within the full extent of the law. All right, so with that all been said, I love you all to life. Listen, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for your morning wake-up call. We're going to be talking about what am I trying to say? Oh, we're going to be talking about Jay-Z's satanic connections and all of that, and the Witch of Hollywood and all that stuff. And remember, the landscapers come in the morning, okay? And I don't want to hear all that noise during my broadcast, so I'll probably go live sometime mid-morning or afternoon. Okay, so keep your notifications on. Listen, I appreciate you all staying tuned, even though I was having technical difficulties. I appreciate you guys. I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
With that flavor all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got